some people consider that the great era of electric guitars was really like, you know, from the mid-50s to the mid-60s when, you know, the Les Pauls and the early Stratocasters were made. And in a sense, you know, this guitar, this is a 1961 Strat, it's never really been beaten. I mean, Leo Fender and Les Paul got it right, you know, and they were such classic shapes and so, you know, ultimately right to hold for, you know, on a human body that no one's ever really been able to do anything better.
Whichever guitar he chooses, Andy Summers always seeks to adapt technique. But the natural built-in sounds of the instrument are still important.
Something we did in the Police was to, you know, instead of playing just regular chord sequences, we used to break up the chords into arpeggios and add extra notes on, so you get something like, what's it called? Every Breath You Take would be played, instead of like, see, which is the basic chord, into like, effective on the electric guitar. I mean, to fill up the whole sound, I would play that against just bass and drums, put it through a big PA, and you're happy.
Summers has played the guitar since the early 60s. He has absorbed a wealth of jazz and rock influences. A truly versatile player, keen to experiment with sound and tone for effect. He's seen great leaps in the technology.
Say since the mid-60s, the technology for the electric guitar has changed incredibly. When I started, I mean, basically it was just your guitar amplifier, one speaker and a little amplifier all contained in one box, and you had, you know, treble and bass, and if you were really lucky you got a tremolo unit thrown in as well, and maybe a bit of reverb. Then gradually, you know, effects pedals started to be made. I mean, see, early ones would have been like the wah-wah pedal, which, you know, was pioneered by Jimi Hendrix, which later became an envelope filter and got a bit more sophisticated, but that was where you worked the wah-wah to wah-wah-wah on the floor. And then all these little boxes started to come in, I guess, in the early 70s, things like the Phase 90 made by MXR, which is probably, you know, I remember like probably getting that on hire purchase at the time.
This is not on hire purchase. It's Andy Summers' new effects rack. A digital library of sounds and voices. A small computer, known in the industry as MIDI, links all the digital files to this pedal board. Hitting the buttons with his foot, Summers is able to flick through the system to select a voice or effect. 300 to 400 watts of raw volume comes from here. The system is particularly useful for live performance.
On stage, in a live performance, when one doesn't really have time to go over and like fiddle around with this or even think, you know, all I have to remember is a number. I'll probably look at a piece of paper on the floor and have a number, and I'll have the sounds programmed in here, so all I have to hit is a button and the right number will come up with that particular combination of sound. So look, this is the beginning of Walking on the Moon with nothing. Pretty plain fare, but I can add in the effects of that and the echo, and it gets a little more modern sounding. But if I now add in the echo unit, you can hear what it sounded like. Repeat gives it that punch which, you know, characterized, everybody knew what the beginning of the record was, so it was very integral.
There is a seemingly infinite number of effects. At the touch of a button, a soft, subtle sound.
Like a pizzicato to a violin.
Another number, another sound. This effect is called backwards reverb.
There are certain sounds, guitar sounds that you can pick up on, which is, a combination of a guitar and an amplifier in a room. But what I guess my point is that all this equipment is just to make basically a sound like we used to get years ago without all of this. I don't know, things have changed.